My name's Mark Lay. I'm from Kinta Heritage Group based in Ipoh in Perak, and today's the 22nd of November 2010. I came to Ipoh, I came to Georgetown to attend the Sun Yat-sen conference initially, but I've extended my stay to basically take a look at how the UNESCO World Heritage Site is progressing, and with particular interest and sort of observation of how the actual building conservation methods are taking place, and whether they're following the rules and regulations laid out by the UNESCO World Heritage listing. This morning I was taken to the Kukong Sea, and I was very surprised to find that the 16 dwellings at the main entrance of the Kukong Sea are currently being restored, and upon closer inspection I was very surprised to find that many of the rules and regulations that were seemingly laid down by UNESCO are actually not being followed, to the extent where some of the examples I saw were the terracotta floor tiles, which I understand were laid back in around the 1830s, being torn up, and there are pallets of Vietnamese terracotta tiles, different spec, different size, brand new, which seem to my impression to be going to be used inside the actual dwellings. I asked the curator there at the Kukong Sea for a little bit more information. He informed me that the 16 dwellings have been leased out to a Malaysian company, I understand, who is restoring the 16 units to turn into a boutique hotel. And my concern is that, as I see it today, the actual contractors are not following many of the UNESCO guidelines, and in fact really flaunting the guidelines and regulations and making a joke of the whole UNESCO World Heritage status. What upsets me particularly is that if it was their first conservation project, while I would still not be happy with it, it's actually their second project. It's the second phase of their restoration of the Kukong Sea. The first being 8 dwellings in the back of the premises that were restored approximately 2 to 3 years ago. These 8 dwellings were restored prior to the World Heritage listing, I understand. So in terms of following guidelines, I think there was probably a little bit more flexibility there, and but at the same time I've been briefed that there was a lot of criticism at that time with the restoration of those 8 dwellings. What particularly surprises me is that it's now 2010, the listing is here, and they are obviously aware of the rules and regulations for heritage conservation, and as I said, they are blatantly flaunting those regulations, seemingly playing a game of cat and mouse, whereby the NGOs are reporting to the MPPP about the rules being flaunted. The MPPP officers are coming on site, issuing, as I understand, some kind of stop work notice, and then leaving, and then within seemingly a few days they are back at work, and literally making a mockery of the whole process and all the guides and the rules and regulations of the World Heritage listing. Coming from Ipoh, where there is currently no real heritage guidelines in place, and even in terms of properly gazetted buildings, there is only less than a handful of buildings. In my own opinion, I think some of the work going on at the Kukong Sea is actually of an inferior quality to some of the restoration projects that I actually see in Ipoh. and that surprises me and a lot. And I think the future does not, and again my opinion, the future for UNESCO World Heritage status and long-term status, remembering that this Georgetown is actually on the full status has not been issued, and it's a case where there have been other cities around the world where the listing has actually been taken away. It's projects like these, particularly the Kukong Sea, being really one of the top icons of a heritage attraction, heritage site here, probably arguably in the top 5, if not really the top 1 or 2 projects here in Georgetown. And if they're not following the rules here at the Kukong Sea, then I don't hold out, personally I don't hold out much hope for the rest of of Georgetown, and particularly when private owners are told that they should be restoring and working in the guidelines. I could understand their thinking to say, well, if the Kukong Sea is not following those guidelines, then why should we follow the guidelines? So effectively that's how I see it as an outside observer.